Good morning. I'd like to introduce you to Fragment Foundry. We discover novel crop protection ingredients using the power of structural biology. Most herbicides available today rely on modes of action that were commercialized at least 4 decades ago. Continued use of these same herbicide types has greatly contributed to the appearance of herbicide-resistant weeds, a serious issue which has doubled in frequency since the year 2000. As a result of these weeds and other pests, growers lose, on average, 40% of their crops each year. That's a $300 billion cost overall. Unfortunately, existing herbicide discovery programs are not filling the needs of those farmers. Because of industry consolidation, there's really only a handful of companies with labs doing most of this discovery work, and the work they do is both slow and expensive. The reason it's that way is because the industry still tends to rely on conventional chemical screens. These chemical screens can be thought of as producing a giant library of random puzzle pieces and then testing them one at a time to see if they fit or bind to your target. Typically, libraries contain up to several million molecules, with the largest containing billions, but these only exist as computer simulation. That might sound like a lot, but the entire chemical design space for herbicides is actually incredibly vast. It's a 1 followed by 63 zeros. So with these conventional screens, it's incredibly unlikely that you happen to have that perfect puzzle piece. And if you don't have that perfect molecule, your screen fails to produce any useful information. We propose to solve this problem using an approach called fragment-based discovery, or FBD. FBD can be thought of as using these fragments of puzzle pieces, which are much more likely to fit your target because they're smaller and they're simpler. Once you have a few fragments, you can then reassemble them to make a full-size puzzle piece. So for example, if we have a 1,000 fragment library and we combine them in groups of 3 or 4, if you do the math, that's equivalent to a traditional library of multiple billion. Now, you might ask, how do we reassemble these fragments together? How do we know how to put them? Well, that's where our binding assay comes in. High throughput macromolecular X-ray crystallography, or HTMX. This next generation technology lets us use X-rays to essentially see the target protein in each of the bound fragments. As I've represented on this slide, we're able to overlay the visualization of our binding hits to precisely guide exactly how we combine and link the fragments into a larger final molecule without any guesswork. Fragment Foundry aims to bring FBD to the agrochemical industry as a service. Clients provide us with a target. For example, maybe they're looking to deal with herbicide-resistant pigweed. Starting from the genome sequence, we pick an essential gene, express the protein, and put it through our discovery pipeline, with the result being a rationally designed, high-confidence herbicide candidate, which we hand over to our clients and they go forward with development and commercialization. With this platform set up for our customers, we can also do this work for ourselves, making our own products for our own targets, all while mitigating the costs using those fee-for-service contracts. Now, FBD is not an entirely new concept. Versions using less advanced binding assays were adopted in the pharma industry in the 2000s and have so far produced 7 drugs that are on market, several of which are still expected to be blockbusters. And as of 2024, another 50 FBD drugs are in clinical trials. So we definitely know this method works. It's just high time we bring it to the agrochemical world. Across this space, agrochemical companies are spending about $1.9 billion a year just for that initial discovery work. That number is what our market would be based on a fee-for-service model. But we're aiming for that hybrid structure in which we also have our own pipeline of proprietary herbicide products. And that market worldwide is $235 billion a year. And overall, this space is growing at 5.4% per year. So the opportunity is constantly getting better and better. Here's a preliminary financial forecast for our first phase as a service company. Yes, the numbers are modest, but we do think we can get to double-digit revenue by year 5, with profitability in year 3. This allows us to bring together a critical mass of infrastructure and people, and that's what launches our partnership model, where we share more risk and secure much more value. So Fragment Foundry is kind of a new concept in the ag chem space, but we can still find comps from certain angles. If we look at service companies, there's Solus, currently valued at 11 million, and especially interesting in that they were bringing in revenue from day one. If we look at FBD in the pharma space, there's Astex, which was acquired for an impressive 7.5x multiple. And then in the ag chem discovery space, other platform companies also have very significant valuations, as high as $330 million with Inco, and typically multiples in the twofold range. So we anticipate Fragment Foundry can achieve this kind of success. And here's the team that's going to get us there. Besides myself, we have our primary scientific advisor, Professor Joe Jez of WashU, who has 3 decades of experience in this field. On the business development side of things, we have the amazing WashU New Ventures team, Karen Mollis and Liz Peak, as well as Dave Smoller, entrepreneur in residence at Biogenerator Ventures. And we are looking to recruit a chemist, so if you know someone, please point them in my direction. And here's our roadmap to capturing that value. Presently, we're in the proof of concept stage. Funded by a Danforth seed grant, we're assembling the necessary expertise and establishing access to the HTMX infrastructure. We do have a weed protein target, and we are currently pushing it through our pipeline, with the aim of generating an herbicide candidate by the end of this year. With that proof of concept data, we will go out and find the funds necessary to set up our commercial lab and begin serving clients on a fee-for-service basis. By year 3, we're then able to start transitioning to our partnership model. We'll have our lab fully built out, and we'll have cash coming in from those service contracts, so we'll be able to switch some of the risk in exchange for milestone payments and royalties as our partners take our herbicide discoveries and commercialize them. So that's Fragment Foundry, and I hope you're as excited about it as I am. Thank you for your time.